Recording in progress. It's criminal. Bless you, I think. How's it going, everyone? Back for break, okay. All right, so the way this is gonna roll out is I am a robot. I'm gonna have you guys drive. So I'm gonna give you some guidance, of course, because this will be the first foray into this, but we are doing live projects. So what you are effectively doing here, if you do it along with me, you are getting the project done. If you want to do the opposite scene on your own, I respect that. And if you do have questions as you know, as you're doing things or whatever, we can certainly address that. Does anybody have any questions before we get going? Okay, first and foremost, this begins the project that ends the class. For project 5, this one here, we're going to do the lighting. And then when we do material work, it's going to be this. And when we do texture work, it's going to be this. Okay. So from here on out, we're just going to keep evolving the same work that we're starting now. Okay. So keep that in mind as we go from shading and lighting projects from one to the next. We're going to continue to use the same Maya project that you guys will start with. So with that said, the first hint I gave you is setting a project. But before we get to that, I'm going to pull open information I have on here. So what I'm going to do is go to preview and have a look at what we actually have for project 5. This is all the information that you guys see. This is what I would like to relate. Like, let's say you guys are freelance artists and I'm a client. I'm going to give you this information because it's what I want. This is what I need you to do in order for me to pay you, right? So you definitely want to refer back to this. Go ahead and read through all this. Glance through most of it. When you get down here, though, we do give you some pretty good intel on what it is you need to be doing in order to get these projects done successfully. Starting right about here. First and foremost, if you haven't checked already, check to make sure that your color management is on. Anybody know where I need to go to get that done? Windows. I'm on a Mac, man. Bad joke, sorry. Settings, preferences, maybe? Okay. It's actually in the settings and preference, and it says color management. You're looking for it to be on, enable color management. If you are not, make sure you do. You should be on there by default. If you're not, please let me know. And we'll gripe about Maya and then fix it. Sweet. Checklists. This is a lot of what we do. If you do a lot of stuff that requires a lot of memory, checklists are brilliant. Now, going down the list, we're going to make sure you use all Arnold lights because, of course, we're learning Arnold right now. The goal is we've given you render reference. So basically, the scope of your project is we give you reference of renders that we have done. And then using only the techniques we covered today, you guys will be able to match those references. The closer you get, the better your pay. Pay is job as far as grades, right? So what we want to know is daytime, nighttime is the opposite. Let's do who wants to do the interior day and who wants to do the exterior day? What about interior? Interior day. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who wants to do exterior? Who is not voting because they'll do either one? Who is not voting because they're not paying attention? Appreciate your honesty. All right, so I think the interior day won by an overwhelming landslide. So the cool thing is here, we kind of get the setup where you literally just click on this and we're going to give you a list of stuff you're going to want to do. Including, did you guys already grab the HDI when Tony was showing you guys how? Does anybody here not actually do that? Everybody's good? Sweet. All right, so I've got Maya open. What is the first thing I'm going to do? Thank God. Set project. Type cookies, I give them to you. So I go down here to set project. Now I have it already kind of there. I'm like semi-cheating. You'll navigate to where your project is. Be aware when we give you download files, there's like usually 3 sets of information in that main zip. One of them is the Maya project. Other thing is like the reference images and so on and so forth. So some folks not paying attention will grab that folder and just set that as their project and be like, doesn't work. Got to go inside. We're doing interior. Once I see all, I double click. I know some people will like just highlight it and hit OK. It's an old habit we have. I double click it when I see all of these parts inside. I know I'm in the project. If I double click it and see something else, I'm like, ooh, I guess I'm glad I didn't do that. Double clicking is the same as single clicking. I'll hit set. I will know I have done this correctly when I go to file and open. I see all of the different scene files. You guys won't have all these because I've been playing for a while. The main one by default is right here. And we'll open that. Oh, don't save my empty scene. Yes. It may or may not tell you a whole bunch of things. Just nod at it and pretend you're paying attention. If you ever get any red ones, like you see red down here and stuff like that, you're going to want to pay attention to some of that. It may or may not impact your work. But for the most part, just carry on as if nothing was yelling at you until something doesn't work. So here's my scene. I can press 5 to just kind of make it models instead of wireframe. It makes me feel better. So what we're going to have to do is light this. Now, let's look at the reference. So a couple places we can do that. Just don't forget, when you download this information, we will have given you, I got the downloads here, the interior, we've given you in every interior. Here's the reference images, and we have day and night images. So if you want them independently, they are actually included in the download file, but they're not in the Maya project folder structure, right? They're separate. Just so you know that you have them and you're aware. You can see as I'm tabbing through them, those that didn't know, you just, if you highlight an image and press space, it pops open big like that, and you can navigate through there. When I found that out, my tiny mind was blown. I'm sorry, I'm sharing like it's cool. So initial image with default lighting, we'll get a sky dome light in there. We're going to want some portal lights to keep it from being insanely expensive and dirty. And then last, we're going to actually add the direct light source. Now, this is the final thing in the long shot. We also have the close-up shots. We don't really have the breakdown of the close-ups. The close-up here is that. So when you get to this point working from the long shot, the close-up should look like this, right? You know, because you can't, from here, you can't see the window. They have no idea what's going on outside. So we work here, and then this is our second, you know, second to the last render, right? Now, speaking in general Maya terms, when we look at this, what do you guys see? Like, what's the main light source for this room? Is it the sun or is it the sky? Let me give you a tip. See that on the floor? That's the sun. What happens when I take it away? Does the room go dark? So who's doing most of the lighting? The ambient light in the sky or the sun? Yeah, you got the direct light's coming in the window, it's hitting that floor. But really, it's all of that scatter light in the atmosphere that pouring in that window from every direction outside that's doing a lot of that work, right? So we're going to want to start there. What do we use to do that with? Sky dome. Now, assuming we're going to have to get this set up. So first thing, if you go to step 2, what is it telling me to do? And you guys have access to this. It's right in FSO. It's in the directions for Project 5. All I did, reminder, I clicked on SAL Interior Lighting Day. If you're doing the exterior lighting day, you would click on this one instead. Whoop, whoop. That section there, everybody got that up on their computer if you're working this? Okay, cool. All right, so what I got to do is, let's see, what's my default material on here? Lambert. He's been around a long time. We're going to have to replace him. Because we're working in Arnold, we want Arnold materials. You remember the shortcut for assigning? What I did, you notice I just went to the outliner and I selected the highest level of the model hierarchy. It selected every model. Remember what the keyboard shortcut is for assigning a new material? Just remember that Maya is shifty. Do like that. You get the Arnold. Which one is it? It's the hair one, right? No? I might be jealous. Standard. All right, cool. Now, we have some specific guidelines from the client on what they want us to do with this material. Specifically, the color, the base weight, and the specular weight. Now, we haven't gone over materials yet, so I'm just going to briefly explain in bullet point what those are, and we're just going to do what they tell us to, okay? Because it's what they want. They're paying us. So the first thing they say is base weight is 1. That's right here. Base weight is the color. If it's on 1, you can see color. If you shut it off, whatever it is, it'll just turn black. Okay, so it's 1 by default, done. Now the base color value. Let's open up the color thing for a second. You guys are familiar with hue, saturation, and value. You've probably at least heard the terms before, if not using it in Photoshop and what have you. Hue is the color. Saturation is how, like if you thought about dyeing, it's how many drops of food coloring you stick in there, right? It's how colorful it is. Value is how bright it is, black or white. The value is what they want to change. Anybody want to tell me what they said? Yep, 0.18. So we come in here, we go to this number here, 0.18. The scene will look like it gets a little bit darker. This is what they want. Now, specular. This is reflectivity. It is pretty cool to do a render when everything's reflective. It looks neat, but it's not what we're here to do, and it doesn't really help with lighting. So we're just going to go ahead and take that weight for specular all the way down to 0 for now. Trust me, you will have all you can handle with reflectivity coming on the Project 6, so don't feel left out. As far as getting that prepped, did I miss anything, folks? You got my back? Say again, I'm sorry? Some of the material wasn't selected? Oh, good call. So here's what you can do. If you're missing things like bottles or that, I've already made the material. I can right click on this, go down to, well, it's not going to tell you because my screen's being weird. Go up to here, go down to existing material, AI standard surface 1. I didn't name it. We'll get into that because I only got the 1 for right now. That has been added. You'll notice it looks different in the viewport. You still got the ones, you can see them. Select the bottles, do it again. Just assign existing. Anytime you do material work, if you've added them before, they're going to be down there. We'll cover all this again in Project 6. Now that you've got my back, I appreciate it. We got that all taken care of. Scene will use 2 dome lights. One will be used for portal lights, the other one to control the brightness. The second dome light will be to control the brightness and the image outside the window. This is weird. We'll tell you, I mean, we've been doing this a while. We have to do 2 dome lights because one of the most common features in every other render engine is here. And that is the ability to control the brightness of the image separate from the brightness of the light. And so because we can't do that, we're going to do 2 dome lights. For lack of a better way to say it, one is for show and then one is for go. The one with the image will light the scene a little bit, okay? Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have enough energy to really light the room correctly. And if you turn up the intensity, the image gets brighter with it. The image will become too bright. So we cannot, with one dome light, make the outside world look cool and the inside world look cool, right? So we're doing it this kind of weird way. Now, you guys remember the whole purpose of portal lights. They clean up the mess. You got a dome light, it's everywhere outside, but I'm just trying to shove it into the window. And what happens is you get a whole lot of extra work the computer has to do if you're not like, hey, just go right here. Don't mess with the rest of this, just right here. By doing that, it eliminates a lot of noise. It really makes everything run a little bit faster. And the computer doesn't take as much, it's not quite as much work, okay? So Arnold's dome light setup, as best we can tell, because their documents are interesting. Basically, when you add a dome light, and then you add the portal light. And the first dome light you add, the portal lights get attached to it, okay? So we're gonna add the dome light that needs to do the most lighting. That's not the one we can actually see the image on, okay? The second dome light is the one that has the image that you see outside the window. Let me go ahead and just, so I have a context of what we're talking about. This is the final, like you see there, there's the image in the background, but then the image gets brighter, right? The image in the background, the brightness of that is the second dome light. The brightness inside the room is the first dome, okay? So we're going to add the first one first. So if you guys remember, I'm going to go ahead and switch. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the IPR here. Just because I'm in the render cam, you'll know down here which camera you're into. Now, what I'm going to do, does that behave for me? Or is it mad at me? Oh, it's down here. Sorry, I had it up earlier. Let me close that because it's acting stubborn. Okay, so start. Basically, it's like you got nothing in there. I got no lights. It's, yeah, there you go. I got a blank room. Sweet. But it's also linked to that camera. I like to work. I like to work from the perspective camera so I can move around and see what's going on. So now at the, I got the render view set up to render from the render cam. I can work over here. So right here is the link to add a sky portal, sky dome, excuse me. And there. You guys remember what we got to do in order, before we start adding portal lights, what do we need to do to this? Right now, it's just a big ball of light. Assuming you guys got the HDI images from the website as we agreed. Is that what we want to work on next? Anyone want to help me with that? Well, I got that. Let's just say, did everybody get the link first off? So you guys don't need me to demo that. Say again? I can. All right, so I'm gonna go over here. We have the actual links right here. They're in, you have this up? Okay, if you'll see here, it's the second link you want, and you just wanna highlight it. Command C to copy. Come up here and just make a new tab and paste. So we can go. Let me know if you're where I'm at. Sweet. You literally just come down here, download. Now, when you hit download, it's gonna give you like a whole bunch of stuff you didn't know you didn't want. I don't know how to explain that any better. You think it's just getting you an image, but really it's going to give you, wow. Really, it's gonna give you a bunch of stuff here that, so like right here, the parking lot thing right here. If you look inside, there's like a couple different links. Two of them, there's a subfolder, another folder in the folder. That's where the images are. If you highlight it and hit spacebar, one of them is larger and clear. The other is smaller and blurry. The smaller one is a JPEG. We do not want the JPEG. You want to take this larger .hdr image and you want to copy and or move it to the source images folder of your project. Let me know when you've achieved that. Future tip for everybody, when you guys work on textures, coming down the road, anything that you're going to have imagery-wise that's going to be attached to a model or attached to a light is going to go in that source images folder, okay? Don't leave it on your desktop. You do not want it outside of the Maya project structure. The idea of the Maya project structure is if I'm going on vacation, I can take my entire project structure, give it to Tony. He can work on it while I'm gone. And then when he's done, he can give it back. It's like a suitcase. Everything is needed in there. If you have stuff outside of it, it doesn't work, okay? So please keep that in mind for the HDR images in the source images folder. Everything else down the road, if you're getting an image for your project, put it in that source images folder, okay? You good? Sweet. All right. So, we ready? Now, we're going to add that image. Where do we go? Say again? Dollar. I'm going to click this checker. And you can look up here. You can use this to narrow things down for file. By the way, though, just be aware, like if you click a sub thing on the left that doesn't contain that, it's going to go missing and it might confuse you. The file node is part of the Maya structure. It's native to Maya, okay? We're going to add that file node. Click my folder. Now, if your project is set correctly, you see how this works? It automatically looks in the source images folder straight away. This is why we want to put those, anything you download for that, you put it in the source images folder because I'm lazy. I don't want to have to go, where did I leave that thing? I don't care. It's all right here and I don't have to think, right? Keep it simple. Now I'm going to grab that and hit OK. Open. Sweet. There it is. Now, a couple things. Let's come back and check the render and see if it's working, what's happening. Say again, Frank? That's right. You don't use it for the color though, even though you don't make it visible? But the first one doesn't wash it out with just white light. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. I'll I'll do it how you have it, but I wouldn't do it. All right. So, in the interest of testing what's going on here, first dome light is one that is not visible. Correct. It's doing the lighting in the room. So we actually don't want the image for this project in there. Okay. It's not used in the reference you're seeing, and so if we add it here, you're not gonna get the same results. So my apologies to that. What we're going to do is let's go select that dome light by dragging it. Just drag select out here, or you can click it in the outliner. And just for future reference, if you right click on the word color, you can just break connection and it'll go away. It's like you never did it. You will have to reset your color back to just white though. Okay. Okay, so the render view is tracking. I do have a white light outside. It's incredibly noisy, and I haven't really set up my render settings. I'm not really going to get into worrying about anything clean yet. We're not even close to that, right? So I got the sky dome light. It's everywhere. What do we use to knock that down? How do we control this thing from just going like taking too long to render and putting dirt everywhere? You got it. All right, so we're gonna close that up. With that light selected, now when you add the little portal symbol here, do make sure that you have the sky dome light selected when you do this, okay? And it'll add. Now it looks a lot like an area light. In fact, it's very hard to tell apart. So what I'm gonna do for the first one is I'm just gonna move it to one of my windows. It has a little stick pointing at it, like anything. Just remember, that's the direction the light's going to go. So you want it pointing in the room. So just kind of get it in there, rough it in. Now I'm going to get it really close to the window. What I'm not going to do is penetrate geometry. Historically, area lights and geometry, when they start clipping, just creates all kinds of noise and weirdness. So as close as you can. It doesn't have to necessarily be flawless. I might even make it a touch oversized just so I can see around the corner. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to see the edge of the thing where it just dies out the window, right? Because what this is going to look like is a canvas. When you get the, it's going to put light in there, but you don't want it like, hey, the light coming in doesn't feel like it's the same size as the window or something. It feels like something different. So it just needs to feel like the outside world is everything in that window. Because if you really want to get kind of goofy about it, the glass becomes the light source inside the room, right? The light, as soon as it crosses that window, becomes relevant to the room. So we're not going to actually make it the glass, but we get it as close as we can. So with that, how many other lights, how many windows do we have? 2, 3. Are you sure? What about this front door what about this window on the front door? Yeah, you want to check all the places where light can leak in. We think, yeah, when you select the dome light that you want it to be linked to, and we think they just link to the first one. There's not really an obvious. It used to be like a real obvious, like, add me here with most of the other engines and stuff. This one is just, as far as we can tell, you link it to the first one. 5 might have some other stuff, but right now 5 is it's kind of broken, meaning all 5, that we've just kind of been like staying away from that for a bit. But yeah, so we add the one, you just add another one. Now you can name them, and in fact, if you ever do like really like You guys remember, like, did you do like part 3 when you were doing the headshots? Did you do like light linking to the background to make the background the right color and stuff like that? When you get really big, complicated scenes, you can end up with a lot of those. And that's where naming your lights will save your sanity. Because eventually you'll be looking at lists of light. You'll be using your light lister and everything, as far as like object light reference or linking. If the light is named for the reason it exists, it becomes less confusing. So like this might be like, living room window 2, living room window 1. And if I got to edit them, the name tells me what they're doing. So you guys are cool. Help me out, man. Put that in there like that. I'm kind of close. Okay, select that again. Now, see, my stick is pointing the wrong direction. This is one of those common mistakes that catches people. They get the light in there, like, I don't see it. It ain't working. And it's just backwards. Free tip, if you hold J, when you rotate, it snaps. So if you want to do just like, I just want 180 degrees, or I don't want some hinky fractional rotation, you can do that. Well, you can in the tools, you can make it link snap all the time, but you don't really want that. If you set it up to where it snaps all the time, then J does the opposite. It basically toggles the snap feature. If you have it on, it'll leave it off. And if you have it off, it'll turn it on just while you're holding it. Personally, I find it to be better leaving it off and then turn it on as I need it. But your mileage may vary. Yep. All right, cool. We got it in there. And I'll just be doing my one more through my door. Now, these things, it seems weird because we got lights in places. Technically, you consider the dome light pushing through portals in places that you can't see directly. What do those lights in the door in the kitchen do for us, though? Based on what y'all are seeing, what do you think? I think after 15 years, I'd be better at eyeballing thing without having to move the camera at least once, but nope. I still get suckered for that whole optical illusion thing. A little bit. Yeah, they lit some light into the back of the couch and you get a little bit on the side. Anywhere you go, like with fill lights and stuff, when we're doing 3-point lighting stuff on still lights and stuff, we kind of like put fill in there just to make things not look so cavernous and stuff. It's really no different in an environment and stuff. And if you guys remind me later in lab, ask me in lab, I'll show you one of the pieces I did and just how many extra fill and specific lights. I had like 27 lights in the shot, but the scene only looks like there's 4 light sources. Well, really 3, but it's really like when you start using them for that kind of thing, it almost becomes like oil painting. Anytime you need a little color simmer, missing some reflectivity, or just, it becomes really powerful. Light linking is huge. But you always want to have that scene work there. Now, if this is the like the image we're going to render, this is the only image they ever see. They have no idea front door is behind them to the right or the kitchen to the left. They just have no idea. But the lighting on the back of the couch breaks it up a little bit, makes it a little bit less one color. It does help just liven it up a bit. All right, so I got portals going on in all my windows. The light is still in play. I'm going to see what it's doing. Now, it's not lighting my scene a whole lot, but I do see it. I'm going to wait and just see everybody. I hear people clicking and stuff. So y'all are still adding portals. I'm going to wait a bit. Does anybody need any help? What backwards? I'm sorry.
As far as like setting up the portal.
Yeah.
When I about it, then I was selected. And then I went to decent.
Not an area.
And then
No, portal. They're, it looks like they're like. Gray line is a light source. You select the area line, it's got like intensity, and you know, it's a full blown line. Portal just lights with the, basically it's like. Basically, you look, you can't see the outside light. But when you put the portal light there, you can see it. Yeah, it's really wonderful. With that done, position it, like you would an area, position it, make sure the stick's pointing in the door. And you scale it. You got it. Yep, it's just a big circle.
and then
Which, did you do a portal or did you do a skybox?
I did it. I did that.
Initially. What's your style on that? Get a check your render again. Okay, so this is our first line. Let's go ahead on right click on color. And that's the word, right click color. Hit white cancel. We'll add the image to that.
Cool. Okay.
Stop that and start a render again. There you go. There you go. Right there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. So good. Fine. Good. So much easier with like.
Wait. All right. So this is the light that's going to light the room, right? We're going to have another dome light that's going to put an image outside, but that is going to put some light into the room. You with me? So in the interest of avoiding doing things twice, what you can do if I do this, if I adjust this lighting to match the reference and then add the other one in there, I'm going to have to knock it down because the other one's going to add light, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my other dome light. I'm going to get that oriented and intensity so it looks correct. And then when we need to make the interior brighter, I'm going to come back to this one and I'm going to adjust this.
The reference image is in order. It's the first dome light that's not visible. And that's the intensity.
Okay. Got it.
So that first reference that you showed is this light not visible with the intensity.
Okay. All right, so Tony has the references in this very specific order. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open one of those so we have it to compare. Open image. If you've not opened images in your reference report or in your render view before, if you haven't, just go to File and Open. Now remember, these are not in the source images folder. It is going to go there by default. We're going to want to go back. Now I have these in a different place. So the daylight ones, now we have a bunch in here. The first image as here. This is the interior. The interior will look like this when we adjust the intensity for the first dome light. However, you'll notice outside it's dark. Remember, this light here is meant for lighting the interior, not the exterior. We don't want to see it, right? So in order to not see it, that's volumetric shadows. Visibility. We're going to blank it out. Let me go back to my render so I can see it. So to clarify, all I did was go to visibility in the dome light and took camera down to 0.
In the demo that
Yeah,
we don't
the-
have that.
There's no image in there, correct? So we don't want to see it. We do want to see it inside though. It's going to push light in there, but it's going to be like an invisible sun. Now you'll notice I'm way dark. You guys are the same way? Give me a number, somebody. We got to do something with intensity. What do you got? 100. So even while it's rendering, I can refer back to the other. Now, I haven't added denoiser to anything I'm doing here. I just want to get it close first before I start getting to the end and start really polishing. What do you guys think? Am I kind of hard to tell all the noise, isn't it? Nice. Let's leave it on default for now. So now this is literally just, this is trial and error guesswork. You're going to come up with what your intensity, you think your intensity should be, and then wait for the results and compare it to the reference we give it. Now we've given you references in sequence, which kind of goes with the directions that are in here as far as how we're walking through this. Everybody with me? Cool. So splotchy. Remember, I'm still working on default settings, and I don't want to raise my settings now because it'll take much longer for every render, and I really want to move quickly. I'll start worrying about quality at the end. So right now, I just want to ballpark. And what do you guys think? Is it brighter there? Darker? Still think it's too dark. You got another? We started at 100. What do you got? 150? Let's do it. All right, so 150. No. Damn it. I would like to. I know. I would like to buy whoever invented that a bad beer. A really awful tasting beer. Thank you for that. All right. Now, where I'm fixating right now is right here. I'm kind of looking at the picture on the wall. And unfortunately, the quality is just such that it's kind of making it really difficult. Wow, it's on my software. Did you believe that? Oh, I'm like a schmuck. Work. Oh no. Yeah. As soon as it doesn't crash. That's never happened. Yeah. Oh, that never happened before. That's good times. Try to give me one more of this. All right. That was more like it. Mhm. Yes, I know. So it's like that cheat sheet you had on the phone, so I didn't have it on the screen. I hadn't thought of it until after. Now I'm like, I want to look at it, but I'm like, I can't. Yeah. I'm gonna just focus on this middle area here. All right, so as you can see, this is, I won't say painful, but you have to hurry up and wait, right? Do not forget the crop feature. The whole joy of this is that I can pick an area where I want to fixate on. I'm just gonna kind of pick this corner where I get a little bit of everything. I get the window, I get the desk, I get the couch, the back of the couch. Maybe get a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller. What that's gonna do is that's gonna speed up my review of the area. I won't have to wait as long for the whole show to run and clean up. I can still compare it and understand I'm really just trying to get close. You guys are going to have to finish this out kind of on your own. I'm trying to give you where, like, whatever little step it's going to be, but the refining process is going to be on you. Sounds unfair. I'm sorry. But if you guys probably already are starting to know this, but like, it's really the last 10% of the project. It takes like the 90% of your time. Getting really close goes really fast. It's that last little polish and finish it up. That's where you just like want to pull your hair. So I got this area a little bit better. It's a little bit more cleaned up. Again, I'm not at full quality, but I don't want to bog you guys down waiting for my computer to render. But if you'll notice, as I go back and forth, and you notice I check two different ways when I'm going back and forth between reference. I go slow, and sometimes I go fast. When I have a higher quality render, I go faster because what I'm looking for is flickering. If my light was brighter than theirs, if I went back and forth, it would strobe, right? It was like bright, dark, bright, dark, bright, dark. The more flickering you see as you do that, and I'm only focusing on the cropped area, the more work I still have yet to do, right? So this is the first dome light. It lights the room. It does not light the world outside, okay? So see, some people mousing, everybody caught up, or? I understand. The last number I got from one of your peers was 150. That's what I have on the screen here. You guys, your mileage may vary. You think it's good, go with it. You can always tweak it later. That's okay. I'm sitting right in front of it and I still need help. Wait till, you're preaching the choir on that one. We all know. All right, so what I need now is I need something out the window. So I need my secondary dome light. This is going to be the visible dome light. It does contribute a little bit to the interior. So the interior will get slightly brighter, but it's doing a fraction of the work on the inside. Its real purpose is to give us a world outside that jives with the intensity we're seeing inside. Because if it looks kind of weird to have a lit room and then it's just a jet black world outside the window. Doesn't make any sense. So again, defer to your list here as far as steps. Kind of have them paired up with the different images here. We have two images. One where it's added and rotating it to get it correct. We'll do that. And then we have to adjust its intensity so that the image matches the outside. Now, when you have an image in a dome light and you adjust the intensity, an HDR image is really just a package of a bunch of images with different exposures, right? High exposure, low exposure. it's gonna start moving through the different areas in that light to adjust your brightness. It's gonna look brighter or darker depending on what you do with the light. We want ours to feel like this, like there's a brighter light outside pushing all that ambient light into our room, right? You guys have been in places where you're in a dark environment and you look outside, it's so much brighter, all you see is like blooming, right? Or you're outside and it's really intense, but you look in the shaded area and you can't really make out because it's all really dark, right? You kind of adjust to one way or the other. We're fixated on the interior of the house right now, so the world outside is going to look brighter. So first step, let's add the dome light and get an image in. We've already kind of done that once. We're going to do it again. This time it's for the second one. So I'm going to minimize this. We'll come back to that in a second. That's my render. I'm going to come over here to my dome light icon. This one here is dome light 2. I'm going to stamp a name on that where it just says shave. I'm just going to say image. That'll help me remember this is the one that has the image. So when I see it over here, I got dome light image. Actually, it didn't change it because it's this one that changes it. Thanks, Maya. You could also just change it right here if you want to. So that's just a pet peeve for me. It helps me keep track of things when I start forgetting which one is which. Sometimes you remember one is one and two is two, but when you come back to it in a month, you're gonna be like, it helps if your name just tells you, I do this. It makes it easier. And we've been doing this a long time. You'll see us name certain things and not name other things if we're actually working, because we know which things, if we don't name, are gonna punish us. And the ones that we don't name doesn't really hurt anybody. You'll figure that out as you go. But now that I got this in here, we got the default. You guys remember how to add the file node. You already told me, so I'm gonna repeat to you and you tell me. I'm gonna go to this checker and I'm gonna add a file again, right? And source images, I'm going to use, where am I at? I've already done this before, haven't I? Is that the right one, Tony? You know what? It looks dark. Or is it just showing, it's just reading badly on the preview? Okay. Like, what does it do now, man? Okay, there we go. So I've got my image out there. Kind of washed out. Now this is where I'm gonna have to look through the window. And in order to do this, I'm gonna have to undo this crop. I need to look outside. And if you'll notice, let me go ahead and load the next reference image so we can keep up. My dome lights. So I got two images for this. I'm going to go ahead and load the first one, which is just position and intensity. The intensity by default is 1. I'm going to load that image and see what's going on outside there. And then I click on what's going on with mine. Notice that, like, I got like this blue building with these white tiny windows. I'm going to try to make it bigger if y'all can see it okay. See out there? I do not have what they have. You guys remember what Tony said was the only thing you can do to a sky dome light to have any meaningful adjustment to it? Can't scale it. Can't move it. What can I do? Somebody said it. Yes. So what I'm going to do is rotate this image, just like a piece of geometry in MCR or something like that back in the day. Make sure, now when you drag select, remember, I got 2 dome lights out there anymore. So now that I got 2 of them, it selected both. What you're going to have to do now, you're going to have to come in here to your outliner and be more picky. So I got my one that I changed to image. That's the one I want. I'm going to rotate this. Now, this is where having both at the same time is helpful. I have no idea which way I want to rotate, but I kind of want to look for the feature that I think is what I want. It looks like a white building front, right? Maybe that part, maybe it's just a different part of the same building. Look at that, that's starting to look better. Remember, we're going to refresh our memory. Going to zoom in there a little bit. What do you think? Kind of weird with the C and the E flashing, I know, but just focus on the window panels and what have you. I think we're good. For those that help, I think I rotated it this way. So right to left. Now this is important for a couple reasons. One, the image, as I said, the image does have an impact in the room. And if you notice on the outside, the image has different levels of intensity because the sun's over here, everything's brighter over here, and it's darker over there. It is putting light into the room, and it's doing so based on what's in the image. So not only will we not see what's out the window correctly, but it might not light the room correctly. Okay. So when you're matching that spot for spot, you really have to rotate it to get it right on money. Okay. Anybody need any help with that?
Helpful in this stage, this is for everybody here. If this helps, like, if you're looking out the window right now, doing it, with the level of the unit there, you can go ahead and temporarily make the print a little brighter than it's going to be. You'll have to achieve it to match the next image anyway. Yeah. Maybe you don't have to. You have the right idea. You gotta get it rotated from the outside of the form. Cool. All right. How's everybody else doing? Rotate? You good? I'm not gonna move too much further ahead while you're rotating there, but we're gonna talk about intensity while you're doing that, okay? They're kind of related, and you can always raise your intensity while you're doing that because it might help you there. You're cold. All right. So having checked that against that reference there, I think we're good with what's outside. If you guys are there. If you're not quite there, that's okay. What I'm going to be talking about now is intensity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File. I'm going to load the next reference image in the sequence, which is basically the same image, but with the outside adjusted for intensity. All right, so you'll see, if you have a look for a second, you can see that I got the first image, which is what you guys were using for the rotate. And the second image is the same thing, but the outside is kind of sort of it's got that intensity, okay? So y'all just have to find an intensity value that you think is gonna get that done. Somebody give me something. That is very specific. Now with that done, I'm gonna click off this to get my image back. 120, I think you have detonated the IVL. So 120, you guys think that's a little hot? What do you got? Somebody else, what do you got? All right, I'll try it. Some of the microbes survived that blast that time. What you got? 15? All right, we're going all the way the other way. 15. This is literally Minesweeper on a computer, right? It's trial and error. You pick a number when you're changing things, you look at it, you wait, you go, huh, too bright, too dark, you adjust, right? That's pretty good. What do y'all think? Say again? Aside from all the noise, we fix that later. Fast, cheap, right. Pick any two. You guys I hate that phrase one day. I'm sorry? She told me 15. And not bad. I gotta say, it looks pretty good. Weep, weep, weep. 16, I'm gonna leave that on you guys. I'm gonna stay with 15 just to keep us moving. She said 16 might be better. She might be right. 15 was a pretty good guess. So how are you doing? You get your rotates down? Okay, so when you got your 15, which is good enough for right now. We'll see if y'all got something better afterward. Now remember, I'm not being graded. So I'm doing what you guys tell me. If you get it pretty close, if you think you can get a little better, that's awesome. Push it. But really, you know, like I said, that last little bit of polish, that's going to drive y'all nuts. That's just always the case, right? So what do we got next? We can check our instruction sheet. Just the intensity. So we kind of got that down. Now we need a directional light. What's a directional light meant to simulate again? The sun. And remember, we're going to load that last reference image and see what we got here. Open. Open image. Say that for the last one. Open image. So my next one is this. Directional light. So with that said, I'm going to make me a directional light. Now, remember, directional light is not an Arnold light. You can just pick it a couple different ways. I'm going to go to lights, directional light.
Shows up in the middle of my world. Where should I put this? Does it matter? It absolutely does not matter. Where I put it. Watch this. I do what I want. I'm Zeus. I'm throwing massive lightning bolts. Why did I do that? Because I can't see very well, and now I can. That's all it did. It doesn't change any of the lighting elements to it at all. It just makes it really bloody obvious that, hey, there's a big directional light there. It makes me happy. The only thing that does matter though here, as far as positioning stuff, again, is the rim light, or see, like the dome light is rotates. So I am literally just rotating this in different directions to see what it does. Now, well, that's the wrong window, isn't it? Remember, the arrows point the direction that the light's going to go. So right now, if I look right down these arrows, I'm flying in the front door, right? That is not what we wanted. Is that correct? Let's see what we got. Nope, I don't see. The reference has got a big light here that looks like that window, and I don't have that. So really, you just got to rotate. Now, what I'm going to do is, I know it's got to come through here, right? It's one of these two, and I see one over there. So I'm going to say that this light is that window there. I'm going to try to draw a line. And it's kind of mostly on the floor, but hitting part of the couch. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to move my light because it makes it easier for me to visualize what I'm talking about. It doesn't change anything by moving it, right? So that doesn't hurt anything. But it makes me happy to kind of go up here like this. You don't have to do this. This is Frank Voodoo. But the rotate does. So I'm going to kind of point it right down in the window, kind of like what I think is happening. I don't know if that's actually what it's going to be, because now I got to switch off this and just see what it's actually. Now, you may or may not notice that it's there. It may not be in the right place. And in all likelihood, it's probably not the right intensity. And again, I don't want to wait for the whole room to render, so I'm going to do a crop render. And I'm just going to kind of focus it right over here on the floor, right by the side of the couch, right on the floor. I just want to, that's the most obvious feature of the directional light that I can see. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I can barely tell it's there. So let's play with the intensity. I'm not really worried about getting it right, but I'm going to go ahead and say 10. I don't know if that's good. I just want to be able to see it better. It makes it more obvious so that I can align it better. Then I can worry about getting the intensity actually right. Remember, getting shadows correctly, technically what I'm doing is I'm getting a shadow correct. It just happens to be inside out because it's going through a window, but I'm trying to get that shadow correct. So if you notice, and I'm going to raise my intensity a little bit more just because I want to see it better. Say 20. I don't know if that's good, but a little more obvious there on the floor. Now you can see it's starting to show up a little bit. I'm out of place. I'm going to kind of look. Yeah, I'm not. You see how it's popping? Remember that flickering thing I told you about? When I do that, the more obvious it is. It's way too far forward. It's too close to the TV. So I'm going to point it away. I'm going to point it more this way. It's starting to creep up on the couch a little bit. And what you're going to do is, this is really it. You just kind of trial and error until you get it where you think it's supposed to go. Now, if you need it to get closer to the window, less reach into the room, it's the sun's going to be pointing more down like this. High in the sky looking down. If you have that, you're going to have a really short shadow that doesn't stray from the building too far. And if you get really down low, it kind of creeps into the building much, much further. That's kind of what I did when I moved my light over here. I mean, moving it didn't achieve anything except it helped my brain function. Get it kind of like that. And now it's really just down to fine tuning and trial and error until you get it to where you can match that. I'm kind of close. That's as far as I'm going to go. Now you will have to refine a bit further than I just did. Pretty close. Yeah, it's like I said, you'll get it really close, really fast, and then that last 5% of accuracy is going to drive you nuts. But that's it does it to all of us. How you guys doing? Everybody need help?
This reference here, first area line. What happened, remember, we had the first dome line, right? We had the second dome line, and we brightened it up, to make it even, but it isn't all. Right, think of like the light in there, that's up, and it starts one light field, oh, in there, it's gonna flow. So if you have to add more, this take away from that. Do it, fix it. When you're back. If that location happens, then you can do it quick. Then you go ahead, you do the whole thing, and then find another spot to go back. Right here, but we didn't really come up with a good number. The last thing you do is shadow block it, keep that essentially down, go back. Check the direction. Remember, I'm kind of using that as well. There are step by step everything. That's all me, but it's all written down. Don't read it all, or say. Which one, I'm sorry? Okay, so let's make the direction level right. The right is hard to see, so let's just make it really obvious. Like, I'm not saying it looks good, it's just really easy to see. Doing it front window. Feels like a shadow. Take the direction from right. Picture it's going, picture it's outside the window. Do that. It's not before. Remember that as a. Should I delete it? You could try it. Yeah, try it. See if that does that. Or you should. Don't do that. That might have been the option. I'm just going to figure it out. Okay, got it, got it. Go ahead. Move it, scale up, whatever you want to do. Put it rotate it from that, so. Take your attention to this, make it a little more like line.
in lab starts, and we'll double check those. You have ones too. What time do you usually go to? At 5:30, whatever. Okay. All right, folks. Do you think you have enough information to complete this leg of the project? The directions, again, reminder, FSO directions, the stuff you have there in the drive. Those are step by step. Do go through those and review them. Remember, I gave you kind of a quick and dirty. Make sure we didn't miss anything. Always go through directions. Always check our FSO stuff. They're pretty thorough. Treat it like what you would get from a client telling you exactly what they want. When you get a client that's really communicative and is really definitive in what they want, that's actually awesome. Because a lot of times we get people that don't have a clue, and that's like fishing. Painful fishing. Cool. Everybody good? Okay. Now, in that you guys wanted the interior day, I guess we're doing exterior night. Okay. Have time for that?
Yeah, you can get it set up.
Okay.
The most important part is probably the first two lights, and then the two side tree
fill.
lights are pretty simple to do, and then the mesh light, the candle mesh light.
Yeah, you have a area light here, and then you have
Yeah,
two.
if you show them the photo reference,
Uh-huh.
the nighttime panoramic we had, it shows them, that's where we got the lighting from.
Okay, sweet.
Like, our office building. there's
It's got
people
those
wearing
floodlights.
halogen right above us, and then
Okay.
there's a tree light right behind the camera, right at camera level. and
Okay.
then there's two tree lights on either side.
Okay, sweet. I haven't been there at night in a very, very long time. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to save this, so if we're clear. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to refer back to FSO. And for my directions, I'm going to move on to part 2, where it explains to you night lighting. And once again, you will pick the opposite of what you've done. So if you're following along with me and you were doing the interior day, now we would do the exterior night. Please note for the following. Future tip, just planting the seed. I'm going to say it again. Tony will say it again. When we get to project 6, you have to do opposites. If you somehow forget and do an interior and your day and night is both interior, you can't do that in project 6 because you'll literally get a 50 max. Just remember, opposites. Any questions, always ask us. We're happy to help you out. So now we're going to be Zen Garden, Environment, Exterior Night. I'm going to switch open those directions. And I'm going to go ahead and close this and open that up again. So I got all my stuff. I'm going to delete these snapshots because I want to start kind of fresh. Right-clicking, by the way, while I'm doing that, if you're wondering. And I'm just going to go to File, Open, just to get us started. The first thing I'm going to look at before I switch any scenes or anything like that is I'm going to plan to back out. And I'm going to go to Night. That interior, am I still on interior? I'm on interior. You go to the Zen Garden, my reference images. We got a couple different things here. We got some photo reference stuff going on. I'm gonna open that one up so I can refer to that. Does that let us open that because of the panoramic format?
It's a big nasty JPEG. It might not show up right in.
I didn't think it would. Doing it, even I'm clicking on it, I'm like, that's gonna read funny. We're just gonna pretend I didn't do that.
It was that Pano camera.
At Joe's. Okay. Let's close that. All right, so going to the Zen Garden. I'm gonna go ahead and open up reference. This one image is pretty dead useful, and I want to pull it open here. All right, cool. So let's hang on to that. I'm gonna minimize that and come back to that. It's gonna try to open here. It'll fail. I'm just gonna get rid of it. It's gonna look awful. Go ahead and do what I actually meant to do. I'm gonna skip out of photo reference here and go to the actual night reference. All right, so Gonna quickly just kind of skim through these directions. I'm not saying we're gonna do it this pace. It's helpful to know all that you're gonna be responsible for and then really get into it. So just going rough and dirty to give my, set my expectations. Set my Maya project, of course we know that. I'm gonna open the scene file, set my render tabs to adjust the render resolution. Render resolution is basically how long your life is gonna be on hold while this machine renders. When clients want big renders, it's gonna take a lot longer. This is a hugely important number for you to know as far as whatever a client says, hey, I want you to do some renders for me. One of the first things that you should be asking is how big? What's the resolution? Because that has a huge impact on your render time, no matter what kind of work you're doing. Assign your standard. So I got to put a material on there. I'm going to create, looks like I'm going to create a sky dome light, add an image. The image has been provided. It looks like I don't have any links to any external sources. Adjust the intensity of my sky dome light. I'm going to be doing some area light work here. So we got to do area lights. Another, right.
And then that's the one that's right behind the camera.
Point light. Looks like I got a point light.
No,
That's the fill light, right?
yeah, unfortunately, the way.
Wait.
The way that word bumped this out, the image goes with the paragraph before.
Oh, okay. So this is the other area light.
Yeah.
Okay, so another area light here. Looks like, okay, so we got another light coming over here. It looks like it's a point light. That's from up here. By the way, just bear in mind the way this doc is. It's so like, I already fell for it. This paragraph is this image here. Just the formatting is just the way it does. Thanks, Word. Looks like another point light. That'll be this one. It looks like it's over there. And then of course, when we zoom in to the actual close-up, we actually have some more lighting to do, as opposed to the interior, where it was just a different render, but the lighting was already done. You will have to do that. Make sure you read those directions. Here, when we zoom in, there is still yet more lighting to do, okay? So it looks like we got lighting, we got mesh lights to do, we got some point lights to do, some area lights, and some dome lights. So that's what we'll be into for this one. And starting from the beginning. I'm gonna have to set the project because this is a different project location, yes? So set project. Let me get there. There's my Zen garden. Double click that. See all the stuff inside. I'm specifically looking for like scenes and source images that reminds me, yes, it's a project. I'm gonna hide that for now. Go to file, open. I have less stuff in here. Now we want the night one. Because there are some prop differences. Just make sure you follow your directions. I'm not gonna save this. Because I think I have like 50 of them stacked up there. All right, correct. I moved the render cam. You see that? I just walked in, like one of the first things I do, sometimes I don't even think, I just start looking around. And I move the render cam. If you do this, the world is not over. Go to view, bookmarks. We bookmark stuff for you. We're helpful. Same thing in the interior scene too. You guys can bounce around with bookmarks. It's all locked in there. You guys can move around. Just the thing I like to do when I'm here, if I start in the render camera, I just start a render, even though I know there is literally nothing in the scene to render. All it does is it gives me a render going from the right camera position. It's voodoo. We can change it here, whatever. You guys can do what you want that way. Now, once I got that going, though, it makes me happy. I'm going to switch perspective because I can look around. Gives me kind of an idea of what I can see, right? So, okay, I got some table and chairs. I got some couches, this thing, and there's the camera. Now, with that said, what's the first thing they want me to do? Open, look here. You would have missed this if you weren't reading these directions. You'd be missing props off of your table. I get this a lot in grading, where stuff turns missing. Now, I know they didn't read it. What does that tell me to do? I hope y'all have that open on your screen because you're going to need it. I mean, if you can't read my screen, you should have it on yours because you are working together, and this is absolutely your lifeblood. I'll give you this one for free, folks. We have some props hidden for you, and you have to show them. turn on visibility for the table setting layer. You guys remember render layers? I don't know if anybody from 3DF in the day,
Display layer.
the display layer, sorry.
Yeah, for model.
So it's in the channel box again down here at the bottom. And you just turn that on. Go to 5 mode so we can get like something other than wires. So if you don't have that on, all your cheese and your wine and your candles and all that stuff is gone. You need that stuff there. Okay. I think we got another AI, oh, we got to go to comment tab, render settings. Somebody tell me what those render settings are. Make sure, switch to Arnold render. Why does my thing keep reverting? That's a brand new punch in the mouth.
You know how Arnold set to be your default render.
Oh,
Render setting.
I do, unless it decided it didn't want me to. Remember what I told y'all, Maya hates everybody? It just met you. It knows us forever. If Maya ever drives a car, I'm dead. So got that. It tells me to go to the comment tab. And this is where we go to set render resolution. This is hugely important to understand. It's really, really super fundamental, so much so that a lot of places will give you stuff preset and you'll forget about it. But it's important to remember where this is and what it does. It's the size of the image. The size of the image is directly related to the amount of time you're going to have to render, which is directly related to how much you have to charge for the work. That's why it's important, because it's like, that's my food. Double check it, 816 by 612. And I have that, it's already there.
Where's the thing you set to be 253? They downloaded it.
Ah, I already cheated. I cheated, you're not. Make sure you double check your stuff, because I already did it once, I forgot. I might have saved that, my bad. So make sure you get this adjusted, otherwise your render won't fit in your template. Well, I mean, it will, but it'll look weird. And then you'll stretch it, and then it'll really look weird. And all the while, the evil client wants you to keep my money. All right, cool. Everybody good with this? You got your comment tab, you got your render settings set up correctly, you got the right render resolution. All right. Y'all fast. All right, so what do we got? What's step 4? And just a reminder, in case anybody didn't open this, these two right here, super, just step-by-step instructions. Assign who? What? I think you're right. Assign a material. All right, I'm going to select all my geometry. Now, notice I didn't get all of it because I got 2 of them, but you guys remember that, right? Remember, Maya's shifty, so is Frank. We're going to go to Maya. Nope, I'm going to go to Arnold. I'm going to go to AI surface. It's going to, in this case, looks like I did it. I'm going to go to my group here. Right click, hold. I'm going to go to, I hate when it does this. Why? So what I got to do is I got to do it so that the anchor point is higher up, because Maya hates me. Come over here to my AI standard surface and add that. Now notice I'm not getting a, like normally when you click you add a material, you get it over here. Remember, I'm on a group. Group isn't that. If I click on individual geometry, it's going to show up there. We have some different stuff here that when we get into materials later, I'll be reminding you guys that we have some stuff in some of the things with parent-child relationships, stuff that you guys learn how to do in model creation. When you go to work for a scene on a project for somebody, they may have some stuff already set up that you can't change. So like we showed you, like if you want to be able to do mesh lights, you want all of them controlled by one, you have to merge them, right? Well, just remember on a project, you got to check with your art director, because they may have set that up for something and you never know. It may just be that, you know what, you got to make the same thing 4 times or 8 times, because you can't, you go to merge it, they'll like have an aneurysm. Like, no, you can't do that because rigging's already just, okay, that's cool. You know, just ask, what am I allowed to do? Okay, I'll do that. So always check. If you're always running into something like that, we have to start changing things. Remember, shading and lighting, we're kind of towards the end of the pipeline. Everybody else is kind of messed with the scene. So just double check before you change things that you cool to do with that. We're the art directors here. We know what's up. We don't care. You have to merge stuff to make it work. We're cool with that. All righty. So what's the first light we got to do? Let's see what it tells me. Oh, I didn't set up my material. Somebody help me. Spec weight 0. 0.18. Let me check over here. Sweet. You guys are awesome. I don't have to read anymore. So I got my color. It's a little darker. If you turn the spec weight off, the diffuse weight, the base weight is 1. Okay. Now what? This is literally what we would be doing if you're in lab, you're sitting down to do the work. Just go down the checklist. AI standard. Huh? They didn't catch it. You guys got both, right? Yeah. That's supposed to keep me honest. All right. Let me do that. Or are you just going to be a hateful jerk? No, let me do it. I was able to select both, sign existing, AI standard. Cool. Man, that would have been bad. It would have been looking all weird out there. What are you doing to me? You guys good? All right, cool. Remember, it'll tell you stuff around here too, like. Now, this is talking about the image I opened up earlier. This is to help us. And now I can't find it, of course. This is an actual image of that area at night. Notice most of the images we have there were during the day, and that's easy to do. Night, we had to come back up there with a specific camera. So what we're looking at here is where the lights are. So what we have is, it's so weird looking at this because it's like inside out and backwards.
It is, yeah, the main big light is that big bright line.
This one, yeah, it's like a floodlight in the back. It's right up on the building. That's going to be like, I'm the guy standing here with the camera. It's like there, over my shoulder, and high. And then we got on the extreme wings in the trees, which we don't have all the trees modeled because y'all don't want to be doing trees right now, trust me. So just pretend there's trees there, and that's where you're going to put those lights. Again, as we go through the different references, you'll see them getting added, but they're off on the side here. I don't know if showing this is actually helping because unless I'm a fly, like interpreting like the fisheye thing is like freaking me out.
That's just that camera is fish eye all of it.
I gotta go over there with a phone and just.
Well, I tried to get Joe's camera, but it was raining. We couldn't use
He's got the nicest toys. I swear. You guys had Joe's class yet or anything? Joe Brandabus? He's got cool tech. So you'll meet him eventually. All right, so use this as help, just to kind of give an idea. I mean, it's just kind of ballparking where it is, roughly where things are. In all honesty, if you haven't actually been to this environment and stood here, this image might just be more confusing to you than not. Now, having said that, Tony told you where this place was, and y'all perfectly capable of walking over there with phones and taking pictures. You're allowed. So if you're like, man, I don't get it, and I want to see it, you can. When we go to materials, you guys are absolutely encouraged to take your phone and go over there and get stuff. We'll be talking about more of that in a second. We call that initiative. So if you want to do that, that's awesome. Just let us know what kind of, if you have any, like, hey, any tips or advice and stuff like that. But this is what all the lighting is actually based off of. So if you're kind of going where stuff is, you can see this is light is high. You can see the tree lights are kind of low, right? Candle lights aren't in here. We added that. That's kind of our own, our own thing there. That camera's crazy. I forgot about that thing. All right, so first things up, dome light. Help me. You gonna add dome light? Now, this is a nighttime scene. I don't need 2 dome lights here. I don't need a dome light and a dome light for showing and a dome light for doing. You understand what I'm saying? In the daytime thing, I needed one to light the room. You saw what happened with the dome light with the picture on it, right? We turned that up too bright. You said 100, you said 70. It was on fire. But that's about how high we had the other one, right? Remember, we cranked the other light really high, and that lit the room. We put that number in the one with the actual image in the interior, and it just blew out. That's why we have two. But here at night, we don't got that problem. In fact, the dome light in the background here is going to be really, really subdued. How did we get that dome light? Was that Joe's camera too? The panoramic IBL capture thing?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I want to do that at night, but I don't want to ask. All right, so I added a light in there. We have the image that's been provided for us. So go ahead, if you remember, hit the checker, go to file node. And if you click, it should automatically look in the source images of the project where you will find this HDR image that's been provided for you. This is an image that was captured on site over in that area, just a little bit of ways though, so it's not like a bunch of stuff in the middle. Now, if you recall, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. Not that. I did go ahead and kind of preload, the first reference image, the first target that we're going to have to match. If you guys are using your instructions, you see we're now on the section that eventually points to this image being the reference, right? So just out of funsies, let's see what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything. Did I stop my render maybe? Uh-oh. Yeah. Yes. Grr, wrong camera. Yes, Maya's a jerk. Are you being difficult? It's being difficult. Sweet. They got my back. What's different? We got to rotate the image. Okay, let's do it. Trying to look for a cloud I recognize. Nope, did I pass it? Wait, that's it. Did you tilt it up? I got you. I was looking, I was like, it's sunk. So in this one, if you didn't hear Tony, we had to rotate all three axes in this, kind of compensate for basically weirdness.
If you open up that HDR by itself, you can see the height of the
It's appropriate somehow.
Yeah.
I got to crop a bender in there, I'm telling you. Hiding the dumpster with a bunch of beers. Ah, went the wrong way. This is fun. You want to do this for a living? Yeah. You get faster, honest. It gets easier as you do this more. And it's not always this specific. We're not torturing you. We're trying to teach you, which unfortunately, they tend to be very similar. I'm pretty close. I'm close enough. I'm not being great. Just start just doing the numbers. And when I have my post-its, I'm going to do that because that's insane. All right, so honestly, if you get like that close, I'm probably not going to be mad at you. But you can't just kind of like wing it and give me something that's like, it's gotta make an effort to get there. Not to mention, honestly, let me just give you an idea why I'm like not stressing it too hard. Let me open the next reference in the sequence. Here is with the intensity changed. Get it 100% lined up and then hide it. Because it's nighttime, right? I mean, we don't really want. It doesn't make any sense if it's trying to pretend like it's you can't see and then the world outside in the back's glowing, right? So somebody give me a intensity number. Obviously, it's darker. Something between 0 and 1. 0.5. Way to throw some horseshoes there. Did I stop my thing? I don't think that's going to get it done. 0. You know what? I'll do it to you because you said it.
But you got no silhouette in the sky.
It was a little bit up there. 0.2. You're getting closer, maybe. Big money, no whammies. No. This is a fun game, isn't it? Nope. 0.05. 0.01. Just making numbers up. That's kind of close. What? You know what? I'm going to do that just because you said so. There it is. If you don't like it, it's not my fault. Too much? Sabotaging me. No Christmas for you. Keep the stocking candy. I'm going to eat it. That's close enough. I think it might have been better before. I don't know. I don't remember what it was. Whatever. You guys get it though, right? So when you're making adjustments and stuff like that, you guys notice we were making really big changes at first, and then the changes kept getting smaller and smaller as we dialed in. Don't be afraid to use radical numbers when you're like, because like, I mean, you're going to find yourself adjusting stuff and what you don't want to do for 20 minutes of this. When it's got to be way over there. You know what I mean? Like do that first. Oh, too much. Like every move you do will be about half as much of what you did, but you'll get there so much faster. The cat pushing things off the table approach, man, you will be as bald as me in no time. All right, cool. So you guys kind of get the flow here. We go through, we anything. You guys feel like you can take off from here in lab as far as what we got so far and continue on with this one. And then don't forget to double check your daytime shot, refine that, check that, make sure we didn't miss anything. Obviously, you guys can't tell. I can't read. I missed stuff. You guys are catching me. That's good. That means you're paying attention to the directions, which is what we want. Any questions? Okay, now remember, I will be in lab. Ari will be in lab. If you're going to do stuff and stuff ain't working as advertised in the list, hit us. We'll actually come by and have a look. If you just want feedback or like help, this thing's trying to kill me, you know, we'll help you out. Well, I appreciate your time and attention. And I'm going to turn things over here to Tony. If he's got anything that I'd missed, he'll correct that, of course. And if he's got any other information for you prior to release for lunch and lab, he'll take care of that.
All right, I'm going to stop recording.